Hi, my name is Josh Lean. Welcome to a new episode of I Talk to Myself because I have no one to talk to. Our guest today hails all the way from the land of curry and spices. You guessed it right, India, from Mumbai specifically. We want to welcome linguistics and literature expert Professor Emeritus Ali Babuji Singh. All right?
That's right.
And welcome to the show, sir. And,
Thank you for having me.
So glad to see you here. I've been reading so much about you. He's here to tell us why he has qualms when it comes to nursery rhymes, which he unapologetically calls nursery crimes. Okay, so I mean, how bad can it be? How bad can it be, Professor? Nursery rhymes have been around for centuries, for decades, and it's so prevalent in our culture and our children's bedrooms. You're right there in our children's bedrooms at night, you know. So I cannot fathom why you would have qualms.
Let me start by saying that I cannot imagine how so much history as a violence past have become rewritten into a euphemistic
Euphoric, that's the word.
Tone and manner. It is so welcome into our bedroom. So what we see in the seemingly innocent whitewashed tombstones, but
wow,
they're tombstones nonetheless.
Tombstones.
Take for example, I'm sure you know this, Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
Humpty Dumpty.
Right? It goes on to say that Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Right?
That's right.
Seemingly innocent, okay, but it's such a negative, irreversible situation.
Yeah.
And what we are feeding our children is that failure in life is the be all and end all. That's the ultimate. That's it. You know.
That's right.
How about this other one, the little old lady who you know this one, the little old lady who lived in the shoe. Why is it that she's living in the shoe, and why is she keeping the children in the shoe? This was an old woman. I mean, let me just tell you, there was an old woman who lived in the shoe. She had many children and didn't know what to do. And it goes on by saying that she gave them some broth without any bread, and then whipped them all soundly.
That's serious
and
stuff,
put them to bed. Whipped them soundly and put them all to bed. Now that is the state. That is the state of many shelter homes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
It's
I've worked
about
with children's homes
child
before.
abuse
Shelters.
in shelter homes that is so prevalent in any society that you go to.
Gosh, I
believe
never
here
quite
in
saw it
Malaysia
that
also.
way.
So why didn't the kids report her to the child protection services? Because there wasn't such things, right? Let me go to another one. How about this? Mary, quite contrary. You know this one, right? Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow with silver bells and cockle shells, right? Quite innocent. And pretty maids all in a row, right? The rhyme refers to actually Queen Mary the First, also known as Bloody Mary.
Queen Mary.
Now, upon taking the throne by force over the death of the brother King Edward IV, or the Sixth, sorry, the silver bells here denotes the thumb screw and also the cockle shells were the instruments of torture used on the Protestant martyrs to persuade them to change their faith. So, and the maidens were actually the instruments used to behead. It's to behead the people, a little like the French guillotine, and the line of pretty maids all in a row, as we say, is actually taken to refer to the mass execution of Protestants during Mary's reign.
That's pretty serious stuff,
now,
Professor.
Here's another one. How about Lemuria Roses? A pocket full of poses, a tissue, a tissue which is not an Indian name. We all fall down. Okay, Ringa Roses is actually said to be a macabre, a parody of the horrors of the Great Plague. Right. One of the first sight of the plague was that ring of rosy-colored spots on a person's neck. Okay, and the protection against this terrible disease was a popular belief that a posse of herbs could help. Okay, and sneezing was taken as a sure sign that you were about to die. A tissue.
Wow.
And the last line was, we all fall down amidst the word that we all die. That's basically
Cool.
this is what it's all about.
People died.
How about Georgie Porgie?
It's what, 50,
Putting
60
in
million?
Kiss the girls and
Georgie.
make them cry. That would be misogynistic, in today's world. Now, when the boys came out to play, Georgie Porgie ran away. It is thought that is actually not as innocent as you think.
Yeah, that would
It
have
is
been
Georgie
innocent
Porgie.
quite well.
It was actually
Sort
the
of.
Prince region, later George the Fourth, I believe, a tad on the tubby side, like you. Okay? Now, George
Kinda
weighed
like
in
me.
at about 17 and a half stone with waist of about 50 inches, about 7 inches more than you. So he was kind of podgy, and pudding and
Okay, it's a lot
pie
more
and
podgy
such
than
that
me.
became the constant source. He became a constant source of ridicule in the popular press of his time. So, despite his large size, George had established for himself a rather great reputation, or rather poor reputation, for his lusty romps with the fair sex, with the ladies. Okay,
Wow.
so that
Was
involved
quite the
several
player.
mistresses leaving them
Or butterflies, the types
pregnant with illegitimate children. He did enjoy watching other people display these attributes of machismo. And George was a great fan of bare knuckle boxing. And during one of the illegal prize fights that George attended, a boxer was knocked to the floor and subsequently died. The fella died. Because of the injuries.
Oh.
And frightened of being
Died.
implicated, the Prince George here, actually made a quick exit and ran away from the scene. So when the boys came out to play, Georgie Porgie ran away. We don't know this past. We don't know the dark history behind all
So
this.
that's why he ran away.
That's so detrimental.
Wow.
How about this very innocent Jack and Jill
I
went up
never
the
knew
hill
that story.
to fetch a pail of water.
Oh, yeah.
You know
Jack
this
and
one,
Jill.
right?
Sure.
And Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Now, this is actually based on a true story in a small village,
Yep.
in the Kilmendon, in the North Somerset, that claims where this is the home of Jack and Jill
Okay.
Rhine, and local legend has it that in the late 15th century, a young unmarried couple regularly climbed the nearby hill, all right, kind of like the PJ Hill, that you have here, in order to conduct their secret liaisons in private, away from the prying eyes
Dangerous
of the village
liaison.
people. Now, obviously, a very close liaison, Jill fell pregnant. So there's another again of illegitimate pregnancy. But just before the baby was born, Jack was killed by a rock that had fallen on him. How violent is that? That special hill. Now, a few days later, supposedly Jill died from giving birth to the legitimate love child. Such a tragic story, and it tells our children subliminally
Wow, that's right, man.
that they can go up
It's tragic,
to the
yeah.
apex of their life, yet fall down and never get up and die tragically.
That's right.
Right? And how about this one? You know this: three blind mice. See how they run. See
Oh,
how
yeah.
they run.
Three
They all
blind mice.
ran
Here we
after
go.
the farmer's wife. Now with the wife who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight in your life as the three blind mice? And it's spoken in celebration of the three blind mice cruelty to animals. Now, but it's not just about cruelty to animals. These three blind mice were actually
Quite violent, if
the
you
three
ask me now.
Protestants once again executed by Queen Mary I of England. During the Catholicism and Protestantism
Queen Mary
conflict, it
again.
is about the Oxford martyrs who were tried for heresy and burned at the stake in 1555. So many of these stories, nursery crimes, have been
Right.
taken from different stories and embellished to be seemingly
That-
benign.
exactly, man. Seemingly
with
benign,
melodic
that's the word
lines
right
and
there.
innocent impressions packaged specifically for the consumption of our children.
That's right.
So imagine all these seeds of violence and the spirit violence behind these nursery crimes being injected and planted into our children's subconscious,
Yeah.
making them numb to violence, revenge, and possibly even bloodshed. No wonder this world is becoming more violent.
So would you reckon that somehow there's this influence that is in our subconscious that's prevalent, in the collective mindset of our children, and that's caused our children to be, numb to violence, as you said,
Absolutely. But of course, this is all in our shared consciousness that is, that numbs us from the realities and makes it very dangerous for everybody. So I wouldn't encourage any parent to read their children nursery crimes. That's all.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Ali Babuji Singh, for your time and your expertise and your very
Thank you for having me.
interesting opinion about nursery rhymes, which you unapologetically once again called nursery crimes. We thank you for coming here to be in the studio with us, and that's all the time we have in this episode of I Talk to Myself, because I have no one to talk to. Till next time, see you.
No!